Welcome to the MadTrio podcast. This week we have the California pariah, Jonathan Charney.
You're listening to the Rob Charney Show.
Rob, the old guy.
Had my intro in there. See, I've been waiting to do that.
I'll have to fix that glitch. And James, the fat man, Stevens.
Hello.
And welcome to the low energy edition. So if you hear us slow down, I promise it's not the needle on your record. You just, it's not like the old days where you can set it to 33 or 45. No, this is just us being...
It's interesting you talk about speeds and difference in speeds. I listen to a lot of old-time radio shows, and all of them have been pretty much downloaded from the internet. And it's pretty funny listening to the different recording speeds. It's like nobody ever set... the last turntable I really had, it was really cool. It started up, it had a rheostat on it that you could adjust the speeds on. And around the dish were dots, and you would look at a mirror, and when you got the dots so that they weren't drifting, they were absolutely fixed, then you knew you were at the absolute perfect speed. And so, you just had to make sure that you got the speed absolutely right, that there isn't drift from the belt stretching or whatever it may be.
I think my Technics actually has those dots around the...
Yeah, a lot of them came that way. And a lot of the higher-end vinyl players, record players for those out there to understand the term, had them. And so it's funny, you listen to some of these old-time radio shows, and you could tell that they just don't have the speeds right, because sometimes the people's voices are really high when they're doing the stores.
My favorite one is when you can hear people talking in the background, and you're like, man, I really hope this is from when it was new, because there's a couple out there I've listened to. By the way, if y'all want to get into old time radio, check out Internet Archive. Internet Wayback Machine has a whole slew of them, and there's other places to get them.
Yeah, there's a number of online places, and they're all free to download. I mean, you can go to the pay sites too if you want, and some of those are actually digitally corrected a little bit better. So, but it's just funny.
I like kind of the funk. Like you talk about funk, like some of my Disney collection, like yes, I'm one of those. By the way, it's the reason I actually look for vinyl records is because of that hiss and pop, which my son added to that on my Days of Future Past album by the Moody Blues, as he decided, the needle's gonna be good across the record. No,
he's trying to simply like those guys that are going
yeah, before he knows of them. So I
that's right.
I keep track of a certain I keep track of eBay to just see if there's anything of like stuff that I'm interested in. I kind of correct the paraphernalia of Disney, like paperwork, stuff like that, stuff that you keep in a drawer. Which, by the way, I wanted to ask you. Is there anything from like 30, 50 years ago that you have in a drawer that you somehow keep? I have stuff from 1969 that somebody kept track of. I would have never done that. I don't do that.
Oh, no, I definitely have stuff that goes back. I mean, I probably have underwear that's older than most of the listeners.
I'm surprised that
you're probably right, considering that, what was it? 9/11 was just like 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking to people that, weren't even born or were like toddler age at that time. And I'm like, good God.
No, it happens. I think we all, especially like, I've been in my house since 1982.
Well, in
93 we did a remodel, so I might have cleared stuff out then. So I have stuff that's from 93.
So here's one of the items I'm talking about. One, I got a parking ticket. Basically, it's a thing. It's a little ticket that has numbers and letters, basically, so you can remind yourself when you park, like A36.
Oh, okay. Not an actual ticket from a law enforcement officer.
It's a Disney parking pass.
Oh, Disney. Okay.
And the other thing is I have a book. It's a small magazine Disney made for hotels surrounding Disneyland. Like the stuff that you would never think that anybody would keep up. I have some of the stuff because I just think it's neat. It just surprised me that anybody would keep track of it.
You bring up a good point, because most of that stuff is disposable. You got it, you threw it away the next day or whatever, or littered the bottom of your floorboards of your car or whatever it may have been, and you just you didn't keep it. So it is kind of unique that some of the stuff. And I was watching I'm not going to name them because I don't really want to give them any press, but it's a show about antiques and collecting stuff. And they were talking about paper products and advertising things that were never meant to be kept. And they show up, and there's some really amazing values in some of the stuff that, 40, 50, 60 years old that, was either pristine or kept whatever, and there's value in that stuff now.
I have some of the stuff in a display, and my favorite one is just because it's so wacky. It's orange and black, and it has airport coach services in Disneyland, Anaheim to Buena Park. It's basically a bus schedule from LAX.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know, it surprises me that any of this...
Us poor folk took the bus.
That would survive. And you talk about collection. I have been scouring the belly.
You've been looking for...
The underbelly of...
Oh, no, not the underbelly.
Of eBay. Just looking for stuff that are little paperwork or things of Disney stuff that I can... That piques my interest. So I found some stuff that piques my interest. A, I would never do it. B, my wife would probably wondering why I bought this. Like a phone from the Grand Meridian Hotel. A legitimate desk phone, in a hotel
dial
room. Yeah, it's a those
rotary.
No, touch tone.
No, it's a touch. That's not old enough. Got to make it rotary. Yeah. Jeez.
It's one of those little, but it's one of the ones that belong in the hotel room.
What's so special about that?
It says Disney on it.
Oh. Okay,
I found ones from multiple that here's one right now. Disney Parks, Disneyland Hotel lobby furniture fabric, 55 inches by 57 inches, and it's rare. I don't understand. And by the way, I think it's kind of neat that somehow you got a hold of it. But
yeah, right.
I'm confused.
You go, what? What?
Because the first thing it's going to happen is I tell my wife, it's like, hey, guess what? I spent $150 on used fabric that belonged to the Disney hotel.
Probably has the original stains on it, too.
Yeah. She's going to tell
you. Tell them, leave them a note and say black like that, would you? And then I might be interested.
Well, she's going to tell me. It's like, so what exactly are you going to do with this? Which was my first thought when I saw it. Some of the cool stuff, if I was really into Disney or had a kid that was really into Disney, they did have this. It's like $300. It's a headboard. The thing that goes on the wall. It was actually from a hotel room, and it's backlit with Disney characters, and it's kind of neat. But it's actually from a Disney hotel room. But still, I don't get it. But hey, people collect weird stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. People do collect some very odd stuff. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to talk about odd stuff, we could talk about Howard Hughes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he collected some really weird shit.
Toenails, urine.
Yeah, toenails, tissue boxes.
Yeah. Howard kind of took too many plane crashes to his head.
Well, it doesn't help.
Honest.
It doesn't help that the government was trying to go after him for so many years.
Well, there was that too. But
yeah, even something to do. So I found an interesting way to slowly commit suicide. So the researchers from the University of Michigan, School of Public Health, and the Department of Environmental Health Services published new findings that for each hot dog you eat, just one hot dog, normal size, not like the big ass ones, takes 35 minutes off your life.
Yeah, I saw that article.
They have a study of over 5,000 foods in the U.S. diet that slowly basically kill you.
So Joey Chestnut and Kobayashi are basically, they would have been immortal if they hadn't been the world hot dog eating champions.
Probably.
Yeah.
There's some that range from 74 minutes to 80 minutes per serving.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I want to know, how do they know this? I mean...
that's what I want to know, too. Did they find somebody who's on their deathbed and said, here, eat this hot dog?
Yeah, either that or... Can you tell me how many hot dogs you've eaten in your life? Yeah, can you estimate 1,000, 2,000? Oh, 3,000 hot dogs. Okay, well, that's obviously why you're dying. What? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. You guys have better things to do.
No, they don't. They're scientists.
Well, you're right, because they probably, they're trying to get a grant to, spend money and stuff. They go, I know. Let's write this grant where if the person eats 20,000 hot dogs in a year, he'll shorten his lifespan by 5 years. How about that? Yeah, we'll have to prove it. So we got to go research it. Yeah, that's what I want. Let's do it.
The interesting thing about this article is they also brought in salted peanuts, baked salmon, and rice and beans and stuff like that. And things with grains. And those still decrease your life by 10 to 15 minutes.
No.
So even if you eat, I guess, healthy shit versus unhealthy shit, guess what? You're still going to die.
Well, here's the weird thing.
But I don't
rice isn't considered super healthy unless it's actually brown rice.
Well, back to the sprouted browns.
And if you talk about beans, some beans aren't. It's as a guy who had to completely change his diet practically overnight. I've read way too much about this. And they also say, far as like basically you want complex carbs. So I guess my question is, do they break it down like like into the science of it, like the carbohydrates versus simple complex, simple carbs, etc.
I don't know. James is the expert in the food.
I don't know. I didn't sit there and dig through the whole study, because that's what you'd have to do is look at the study of it. But I'm sure the point I look at all this crap is just like, you're gonna die anyways. Yeah, you shouldn't be sitting there like trying to commit suicide or, become like morbidly obese. But eat what you want, but have some goddamn control.
I want to be like that.
That's true.
I want to be like that 110-year-old lady who still smokes, drinks a fifth of vodka a day, and I want to be like that woman who did that for the entire life.
Well, that speaks entirely of genetics, because there are some people that are going to be predisposed just to live to 100 anyway.
Well, with my genetics, that's not it. I'm already having issues.
Hey, you got longevity on one side of your genetics. Very big longevity. So what are you talking about?
The other side. I wanted to try to have a conversation.
Good cover, John. Good cover.
I wanted to have a conversation about something, but I don't know. I don't know if it's completely possible, but I've been thinking about. Excuse me. If anybody here heard,
well, it's a noisy show today. Somebody crinkling papers, you coughing away.
So
what's going on?
This is the low energy show.
Jeez, no kidding. We apologize to anybody listening, finding how poor this quality of sound is, especially since we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars building a studio and top end mics and recording equipment.
If anybody's been paying attention to Joe Rogan.
Oh God.
No.
Not him.
Nope.
The thing I find it interesting.
You're giving him a plug too.
Yeah.
Damn.
I wanted to talk about because he was the biggest. So basically, I want to talk about the coverage of COVID, not the disease itself or whatever virus. But I find it fascinating on how the coverage of COVID is almost completely broken down on party lines to some degree. Like one side is completely is like vax is the only way to go. And the side is so extreme they want to stop you in working. I've seen online discussions that says if you're not vaccinated, the state should be required to take your children from you, till you can't travel, till you'll be till they should strap you down, force you to take it, and give you a fine for their trouble, like all sorts of crazy stuff. And the other side is all the way from anti-vaccine to the vaccine works, but Joe Rogan's taking ivermectin, a human version of ivermectin, and did all this stuff and was fine within a week. So I find it interesting how
but Joe Rogan didn't have any side effects.
Never mind.
This is all right. Move along.
This is part of the thing.
Old guy's getting mad.
And this was part of my thing. It's like the question is, how severe were the symptoms? Because if you saw, he has actually talked about that how bad his symptoms were. The other question is his age, is in his 50s. The other question is health issues. For him, he's extremely healthy. So there's all these questions that you kind of hear it broken down depending on who you listen to on what COVID reacts to, what it doesn't. Sometimes it seems random, other times it's not. So I find it interesting how this is completely, it's political, and it's super political. Up until the point, my favorite one was Donald Trump. The Tangerine Tornado even said, how come all these Democrats are taking my vaccine? All of a sudden, you guys are for it. And usually I find Trump annoying at best. But that was probably the to the point thing I've heard on a political level, because Maxine Waters and the other Democrats were saying, I will never take him, almost like this was some sort of Hitler-esque plan to get rid of the Jews. The level of rhetoric they were speaking. So I cannot wait for 10, 20 to 30 years from now to actually read the history of this. Because this has been one of the most fascinating things I've seen in my life when you talk about just the coverage and how it's handled.
So if we go beyond if we go beyond just what happens with COVID and and the vaccine, if we go beyond that and we look at, I haven't had a chance to look back in history and see if there was any kind of mandates put down for like the polio vaccine, and smallpox, and tuberculosis.
The 1918 one, I've seen pictures, and I have no idea if it's actually true. So mileage may vary, of signs that say no spitting, masks save lives, of stuff like that.
Right. No, there was that, but there was no governmental mandate. And that's what I'm looking at. And so as much as I'm for the vaccine, and I've taken the vaccine and I feel much better for it because, as a senior, I may be more susceptible to it. I don't know. But the point, I guess what bothers me is the discussion needs to be made is the mandate. Is the government, is that their job to go out and mandate certain things that you must absolutely take this if you want to work for the federal government? You must take the vaccine if you want to work in the White House. You must take vaccine if you want to be in the military. You must, right?
But the military's always been the case. I've heard stories from guys at Vietnam where the line with those air guns getting stuff blasted on them. And, and so...
No. And that's true, because once you're in whatever military branch and you get inducted to it, whatever you want to do, either you volunteered or conscripted, you're at their mercy. You're going to take whatever it is they tell you want to take. But I guess my point is, and maybe the military isn't right. I shouldn't be bringing the military up. But all these other entities that we're talking about, is the argument should be, let's have instead of an argument, let's have a discussion as to, are we set up as a country to mandate a vaccine? And is everything that we're doing, is it for the betterment of the good? So is it always for the betterment of the many versus the benefit of the least, shall we say? Trying to play on that term. So that and so there's where I'm kind of going, okay, I have a little problem when we're told that we have to absolutely, I'll stop pounding on the mic stand. We absolutely have to.
You sound like a certain Italian.
I know, huh? To take something, you must take it. You have to take it if you're going to even be out in society.
You will take this medication because it's good for you.
It bothers me a little bit to a degree. Like I said, as much as I am pro-vaccine, it's my choice. Now, if somebody else doesn't want to, I think we're already seeing situations where unless you have a vaccination card, you can't go in certain restaurants, you can't go on airplanes, And that's an independent company saying, I'm sorry, our policy has decided that unless you have been vaccinated, you can't come into our restaurant or you can't go to our movie theater. Can't go. They're all private entities.
Well, this was part of the discussion I was having with somebody, and it's like, it's kind of, you pay to play. There are instances where I do not like it and would fight against it, like airplanes, for example, when they say air travel right now is incredibly safe because the measures that have taken place to keep it. But if a restaurant says you got to have a card and all that, or if you got to get tested weekly, I don't think, it's one or the other. I don't like mandates. I don't like government forcing you to do anything. California forces you on practically the point of a gun to have car insurance.
No, you're right. That's absolutely mandated. You're going to, yes.
You'll get in trouble if you
don't. Yes. You can't, you have to have insurance.
And so I think part of it for me, and James, I wish Ryan was here on this conversation, but he never picked up, was I believe there may be some constitutional issues here that'll prove us wrong or right, but I do believe, at least in America, there's a social compact of free rights and free reign to do as you please. That if I was anti or pro, that's my choice, but my choice should not be enforced upon others. And I think that's more of a social compact nowadays, especially when you see with the American Care Act, also known as Obamacare, and other things in states. There are issues, though. I just read in New York, because of this vaccine mandate, an entire childbirthing wing, I don't remember the actual name, apparently just walked out. They canceled births. I don't know how you technically cancel birth. Sorry, ma'am, you're not allowed to give birth.
It was a maternity ward.
That's it, maternity ward.
Yeah, in one particular hospital, and all the staff just got up and walked out. Now, I couldn't find the exact reason. I don't know if it was over a mandate or not. I can't believe all the doctors and nurses are all against it. I know that there are going to be some, but to close down a complete maternity ward, I'm not sure. I think there's more behind that story.
There has to be, but I've read a number of stories about where doctors don't want the vaccines, and this is another part that I find interesting as part of the discussion. I'm pro-vaccine. So, but the interesting thing is I've been listening and reading, trying to figure everything out. And somebody said the issue with the vaccine they have is it's targeted to a specific variant. And the other issue is the government releasing mask mandates. And he said, you can't do that. You can, even if you're vaccinated, you can still get the virus. You may not get it as bad, but you can still spread it to other people, which, by the way, even if, like, say if you're an 80-year-old gentleman and you around him, you had COVID, you can still kill that person. So this guy listed all these things, and he said the issue he has with the vaccines, besides the fact the government's refusing to even look at alternative medicines that some doctors have had really good cases of fixing early on, is the fact is this false sense of security that it actually will save you. And he said it's a higher chance that you won't die from it, but he said it's not certain. And that was the part that I thought was interesting. And the other part is, this is a sidebar, is how the rest of the world is now fighting against the lockdowns. And like apparently France is having another nightmare, but apparently it doesn't take much to get the French to riot. So.
That's probably true. Just don't give them bread. Let them eat cake.
Or don't ask for water in a cafe.
Yeah, well, I think Marie meant it was a baguette. Let them eat baguettes. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think. Look, if you believe the vaccine's going to be a magic bullet against everything, variant COVID, it's not going to happen. But and I think they've said that from the government. They've come out and said, but it gives you a better chance of surviving it.
But this is the way the news is covering it. Like this is kind of like the news. And if you listen to some things of Fauci, that's the part that I'm fascinated most about. Because you're right, the governments give the numbers, but if you pay attention to the narrative in the media, they're weaving this, it's the magic pill. And I find it fascinating because I don't remember any time in my life where the media is just outright lying. There's a higher chance of your survival but...
I think it's also which media you listen to. I mean, let's face it. We've got media on both sides of the fences. Excuse me. We have media on both sides of the fences. Gosh, we're all going on
like
today with
CNN,
throat issues.
MSNBC,
yeah,
Fox
I mean,
News.
You have also from Epic Times to all the way to whatever rabid other side you want to mention. You know, it's just the way it goes and whatever. I mean, this whole thing's crazy. All right, I'm going to change. I'm going to get off of COVID. I think we're COVID dead here, aren't we? I mean, it's enough. Oh, no pun intended.
There's one. I just wanted to bring up one other thing.
All right, we're not done with COVID.
No, just one thing. I'm just going to bring it up because I think it's interesting. Is the place? I think if anybody, I think the key to all this is going to be Israel, and I think that's going to be the most interesting case coming up. It's because they're almost like 90% vaccinated, and they're still having ICUs full of people. So I think...
Doesn't take much. You're a small country, small hospitals. Yeah. Doesn't take much to fill them up.
I still think that the test case for any of and all of this, especially when it comes to COVID, is that...
I'll tell you what, report back to us next week.
No, I'm just
Let us
saying,
know what you decide,
No, I'm just
and we'll
saying,
debate it.
those are the two I think people should pay
Yeah.
attention
Okay,
to.
good.
I think Rob's done with it.
I'm just, because you can't turn on a TV, you can't listen to your XM radio, you can't listen to anything without it being front and center. And I understand it. It's just I'm getting fatigued from it.
So here's an additional question: How much
here we
news do you listen
Most of us
to?
are.
How much news do you listen to?
I think James is right. Well, all right. So it depends on what day of the week it is. Sometimes I have whatever it may be on 24/7. Sometimes I don't. I mean, sometimes I reach a level of I've had too much of it. I'm done with it. I'll go listen to an old time radio show.
So between 0 and 10, 0 being I don't watch any, to 10 I'm overdosing. Where are you on like a daily basis?
6.
James?
I don't give a shit.
So, but no, on a 0 to 10 scale.
He doesn't care.
Are you a 0?
He doesn't listen.
I'm -5.
-5.
So I'm at maybe a 2.
Yeah,
so
all
this is the thing, the reason I'm
So
asking.
you want to come on the show and talk about shit that I've listened to all day long and I'm tired of it?
No, I just talked about a little bit. But
I got it.
The difference is the
I
fact that
understand.
I in the beginning, actually, what turned me off in the news.
Wait a minute. This is
You're listening to the Rob Charney Show.
so I don't want to talk about it.
No,
wait a minute. This is MadTrio
podcast. I was say what really turned me off the news was like year 1 into a 3-year election of Donald Trump. And so like I really tuned. That's why like I really tuned out the news, and I'm very selective. So I was just curious on, because that's another thing is there's news burnout because everybody's tired of having to go to 6 sources to figure out what is the right one.
I'll tell you the other news burnout I'm tired of. This is freaking California recall for governor. You can't watch anything without 30 ads from everybody. And I got to tell you, I knew that the Democrats were worried about possibly, and I don't believe that the recall is going to work, just so everybody knows. And we'll find out next week. They'll come and go, Rob, you were wrong, or Rob, you were right. That I think Governor Newsom is going to hold on to the seat. However, and I'll tell you why I feel the Democrats are worried about him holding on to the seat. One is, well, the way California goes, they think that the rest of the country is going to go for whatever reason. So they're freaking out. So we had Joe Biden here today in Sacramento, flying over what they said, they're going to go over the Calder fire, which would take him in his 747 all of 2 minutes to do a big circle around. And, and I'm kind of going, and he's stumping for Newsom. And so we've had the vice president here. We've had senators, Elizabeth Warren here.
Time out. President. Biden is president, not vice president.
I said, we've had the vice president here, Harris. Listen to what I'm saying. Watch my lips. Oh, this is radio, but it's okay. My point is, I can
watch your lips. I can't.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you're not in the studio. But the point I'm having is that I knew they're all freaking out when you've got all these, top level. Obama's been running ad after ad after ad, and I love this. It's called the Republican recall. No, it's not that. It's people of all groups unhappy with the way this particular governor is running the state. And so I think it's more than that. But it just gets, after a while, talking about fatigue, I'm fatigued. I can't wait until it's over tomorrow, one way or the other. I don't even care anymore at this point. I'm just done with it. You know what the sad part is? In another 6 months, we're going to see people running for governor starting to come up again, since the election is in the next cycle of 2022. That's the sad part. Anyway, enough of me ranting on that one. I've got something else that's probably more fun.
No, I'm just amused that all of a sudden, this whole thing is fascinating to me, especially California politics. And I actually think the way the California goes, the way of the nation, because Californians seem to be fleeing California.
Yeah, like, and infecting all the other states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so.
Yeah, all the other states are sick of us.
Yeah.
This is why
I almost don't blame them.
This is why if I ever move, I'm just not saying I'm from California. Where are you from? I'm from out west.
Because it follows you forever.
Well, actually,
my sister-in-law's been in Washington State for 40 years, and she tries to tell me that she was born in Ojai, California, and lived here until after high school. And she tries to say she's not a Californian. I had to remind her where she was born.
See, the benefit.
So she ruined Washington as far as I'm concerned.
The benefit, if you're a conservative, is I live in one of the most conservative parts of California. So at least there's that.
Well, yeah, we can actually talk about both sides of a subject and not worrying about being burned at the stake. If you go down to Santa Monica, where I was born and raised, you talk like I talk now, I probably would be burned at the stake.
Which, by the way, is hilarious from a guy whose generation was known for talking and wanting to have open conversations.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's fine when you're 16, 17 years old to think everything's utopian and it's great, rainbows and roses. But no, you get older. It's like I used to joke about the fact that a Republican is just a Democrat that was mugged. So that's the way I always talked about it. But anyway.
I did want to bring up an interesting article. Like, it's too long to read, but I wanted everybody to check it out because it was super fascinating. It's by Routers, whatever you call it. It's Hands Off Patrol. It's called the article's Hands Off Patrol after Floyd's killing, the Minneapolis police retreat data shows. So it's an interesting, basically a year or two after the fact, showing what's actually happened, like the way the police reacted by the numbers and breakdown. It's super interesting if you guys are curious about it.
That'd be an interesting read as long as it's open-minded.
It seems to be about the noticeable decrease of law enforcement. Like before, and it says, okay, if the cops made this many stops percentage-wise, they made this the year after. And the noticeable decrease, like the cops apparently used to make stop people if they did a traffic violation so they could search your car for guns. So they went to the extreme of the opposite side. It's super interesting. If y'all didn't know this, there's a Facebook page called Interesting SHT. It's where we post a lot of our stories. And this one's like the number one on there. I posted it today. It's an incredibly fascinating reaction. And one of the parts of the articles that talked about how a lot of cities, Sacramento, California, for example, because of Floyd, and the other gentleman's name is just completely escaping my mind. Trayvon Martin?
Could be. Depends on what you're talking about.
After these events happened, how cops just, their reaction, what they did, their proactive policing slowed down. But he said most of them have bounced back. Minneapolis, however, didn't. They're down 200 officers. Like they say now, some cops actually take the long way around, hoping by the time they get there, the incident's over. Like all sorts of super interesting things. So if you're interested in the result of some of these cases, hopefully they'll do some reports on the different crime sprees that may or may not be taking place now and how they're reporting to those particular incidents and all that. So it'll be interesting to read that one. It does.
So I look forward to it.
It does talk about like shootings and it does talk about some shootings and other incidences where, citizens are actually talking about a noticeable increase. And if normal average citizens are noticing an increase, then what the actual rise of it is probably higher than the average Joe notices.
Yeah, so the thing to look in this is, how is the average citizen in that particular area? How do they feel for their safety? Are they afraid for their safety now? Are they taking the law in their own hands more now? What are they doing? It's
super interesting. So I want
get a chance to read it.
If you get it, guys, if anybody out there gets a chance to read it, it's super awesome. And talk about super awesome, I want you to listen to this. Today's show is brought to you by Audacity. The game word dignity is overrated. Go to ODDASSITY.com. That's ODDASSITY.com. Pick up a card game from this website or selected stores. That's Audacity, the unforgettable party game for mischievous people. And this just in, got it from Miss Audacity herself. If you want 10% off your purchase, type in MadTrio, all capitals, one word on their website when you order from Audacity themselves. And that is a code just for you.
Well, that would be cool. Let everybody get out there and buy it. It's a fun game.
So let me double check that. It should be 10% if I remember correctly, but now
maybe it's only 1% and they don't really care.
Yeah. Yep. It's MadTrio, all one word.
Sorry, Melanie.
10% off your entire order through our website. Do us a favor, check out Audacity. They're an amazing group of folks. Great game.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. All right. So Steve Wozniak. Everybody know who he is? Co-founder of Apple. He's always the kind of, everybody says, what? There's somebody other than Steve Jobs?
He's the other Steve.
I remember him.
He's the other white meat.
He's the other Steve. So he has announced his own aerospace company.
Do you think he's
Privateer Space.
You think his rocket's going to look like a giant schwanz like Bezos?
Well, I mean, they're all going to be long. I guess, don't ask me. I'm the wrong gender to be asking that. I mean, we can all. I've always thought that the Amazon logo was a little phallic all the time anyway. So.
Well, it fits considering Bezos is a dick.
So yeah, I mean, it all fits. I guess fits his rocket, fits his logo.
You see, you maybe not. You see all the memes of Bezos's rocket Blue Origin. They were making they were making a lot of jokes about Viagra.
Yeah, Blue Origin. Yeah, I get it. Ha ha ha.
And the Schwanz rocket.
Doesn't surprise me, but so Steve Wozniak has announced he's going to have his own aerospace company called Privateer. It's TEER on it. That's why I'm pronouncing it that way.
Privateer
to compete with.
So it's like a Southern
Branson and Jeff Bezos, and of course
SpaceX.
SpaceX.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody can really compete with SpaceX right now. They're really knocking it dead.
I think
right now they have a crew capsule and a what's the other capsule? It's the one the cargo capsule.
Yeah.
Both docked at the International Space Station at the same time. Try that, Jeff.
I really like the way Elon Musk does it, though. I love the fact that it's the good old-fashioned launch, explode, figure it out, and do it over again.
Absolutely.
I wish
somebody would tell Elon to listen to this show because we love Elon here.
I love that way of innovating because it's old school. It's the old school way that's built.
It's old school, new school. It's both ways. I mean, he's he gets down and dirty on stuff, and let's figure it out, and make it work. And sometimes it works, sometimes it explodes. Psh, big deal. Move on.
Because I remember hearing a story during the space race with the Ruskies. They would make fun of Americans because all the Americans' rockets blew up. Yet they never told you how many cosmonauts they killed in the process of trying to get them up in the air.
Yeah.
And we were very open about. There's a ton of photos of rockets just folding over like a piece of airplane, like a piece of paper, and exploding.
Oh yeah, a lot of times they were just trying to fill them with liquid propellant, and the aluminum is so thin because they're trying to keep the weight down, it would just explode right open.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's really cool. As long as it's unsafe, it's a great way to innovate. It's a great show.
Well, it's the old statement: the right stuff is, you're sitting on a rocket. However million pounds of thrust built by the lowest bidder.
Yeah.
That's the way it was. So the fact is we lost a lot more people with the space shuttle program than, we didn't really lose anybody through Apollo.
Wasn't
we lost the three but they were on the ground during an oxygen space
Yeah, that's
test,
the only people we lost.
Test. Yeah, those are the only ones we lost.
Because we lost 2 shuttles, right?
Yes. Yep. So, I mean, it's inherently dangerous. You want to go out into space, good on you, brother, because I'm not. But
have we lost anybody actually in space?
No, I don't think so. Not being the expert in that area, I don't
think so either.
Yeah, I don't think we have. So you'd have to Google that one.
I know we've lost people in the process of getting there.
Give Google a plug.
Google?
The Google.
Using the Google?
Yeah, the Google. So why John's going to go ahead and Google, have we lost anybody in space? Do you know TMZ was sold again?
Really?
Yeah. Take a guess who bought TMZ this time. The previous owner was Warner Media, okay?
18 people.
18 people. What, lost in space?
Was Will Robinson on that?
It says a total of 18 people have lost their lives either while in space or in preparation for a space mission.
No, okay.
For separate incidents.
But that's all Russian.
So, but that doesn't really answer the question if it's, it doesn't say, it doesn't give us if it's, I'm trying to find out if it was, no, that's re-entry. Trying to find out if it was actually in space.
All right, you keep looking.
Everything I found just says Apollo 1 when it's Gus
Yeah.
Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee.
Right. That was them. Unfortunately,
But I don't see anything else.
Yeah, I don't think there was. From what I remember, since I lived
It
through
doesn't
all of
really
that.
specify in the article
We'll find another article.
Before entry. Yeah, it seems like cosmonauts were the ones that died.
Those poor guys.
In space.
Well, here's a list of them, because they'll say like Viktor Pasivyevov, Vladislav Lukol, there's a ton of cosmonauts on this list.
Right. Well, that answers the question, doesn't it? Unfortunately. And they're, the space race was a real thing back then. It was prestige for whatever country, and the Russians were really trying to do a lot, and they did a lot. Let's not underestimate everything that they did. They did a lot of stuff, but
space station technology wouldn't be around without them.
Yeah, probably not, because they certainly had the first test platform, better than our Space Lab program. So TMZ was sold to Fox Entertainment. So they used to be owned by Tom Warner's media parent, AT&T.
Isn't that Disney?
Fox Entertainment? Might be. So now good old Harvey has lived through another person purchasing his company. And now they're going to be on Fox. So it's going to be interesting to see if their angle changes, right? We talk about TMZ being, we talk about a lot of news outlets, if you want to call them news or not. They're kind of, I guess they're entertainment news people, but
yeah, I mean, if
they always lean a certain way. So now that they're going to be owned by maybe a little more conservative company, really interesting to see if they change their ways. So
Fox Entertainment is an American television production company owned by the Fox Corporation. The company was formed in 2019 after the Walt Disney's acquisition of 21st Century Fox. So we'll see. It is. See, I thought it was a Disney-owned property. It is not.
Yeah. No. So good. We got that answer.
Disney doesn't own the world yet.
Yeah, give them a chance. They're trying. But
here it is. Divisions of Fox Entertainment: Bento Box Entertainment, Studio Ramsey Global, and TMZ.
And TMZ.
What is Bento Box Entertainment?
Aren't they the anime brand, the Crunchyroll? Wasn't that part of?
See, Crunchyroll, oddly enough, is now owned by Sony.
Yeah, I know.
Bento Box Entertainment, also known as Bento, is an American animation studio located in North Hollywood, Los Angeles. What have they done? Is there any... Bob's Burgers, Burger Boy Out There, bunch of stuff that I have never heard of.
Well, there's a lot of stuff I've never heard of.
I tried to watch Bob's Burger. I just couldn't get into it. Yeah.
All that stuff would just make me hungry. I don't want to.
I'm constantly hungry now that I'm on a permanent diet.
Yeah. Well, it's a lifestyle, John. It's not diet. It's a lifestyle.
That's what they say about meth.
Oh.
Well, that becomes its own lifestyle once you start doing that.
As long as you stay out of the rain.
Yeah.
Meth heads stink.
Because what? They look up and drown?
Pretty much.
Are you looking to get into investing in anything?
Sure.
Dogecoin.
How about bringing back the woolly mammoth?
Yes, I definitely want to be part of that. I mean, the world wouldn't be the same without a living woolly mammoth.
So
they're going to clone it, right? They're going to clone it.
No, they cannot clone it.
Oh, no cells.
That's the problem.
All right.
The goal isn't to clone it because the DNA is still in permafrost and is far too fragmented and degraded.
Right.
So what they're going to do is kind of like what they did in Jurassic Park, which is hilarious that they're actually doing this shit. But they're going to make an elephant mammoth hybrid that is going to be basically visually indistinguishable from its forerunner, which would be the woolly mammoth. So they're basically going to make a liger, but for the woolly mammoth.
Okay. All right.
Gee, way to go, Napoleon Dynamite.
Well, they do have ligers out there. You know that, right?
Yes, I do.
It does exist. So,
no, really?
Lion tiger? Yeah, liger.
Yeah. They're pretty awesome, those ligers. They're freaking crazy big.
They're also all infertile.
Yeah.
That seems to be one of the things with the cloning process and the crossbreed. It's not unusual, too, when you're trying to get a hybrid to find that they may not be fertile.
Wait, so my car's not going to have a child?
Probably not.
Damn.
So the interesting thing about this is that they're going to try to make it so that they don't have tusk.
Well, That's the fun part of it. Why would you?
Well, they don't want ivy poachers to be hunting them.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Time out. So
Ivory poachers because they're going.
So this
give
is
me a break.
this is really like Jurassic Park. They're going to have welcome to the wonderful world of woolly mammoths. Here is Mr. DNA. Is that really what they're planning on doing? Is having a park full of these things?
Pretty much. Yeah.
So this is where it comes back to have watched too many sci-fi films. This is not going to turn out well. This is going to be, they're either going to become smart mammoths, or they're going to run wild and start killing people, or going to be like the sci-fi films of the 50s where they're going to react to the nuclear.
That's right.
In the air.
They're going to grow large and overtake the world. I don't know.
By the way, that's hilarious. Welcome to the wonderful world of woolly mammoths.
Yeah. Anyways, I just thought it was interesting, especially the way that they're going about it. It's like, you guys just read Jurassic Park and said, I think we can do this.
However, I see if they succeed, there's going to be, like Angora, like rabbit fur or whatever it is. There's going to be
woolly mammoth fur.
Exactly.
Get your coat. Everybody wants to wear a woolly mammoth coat. Yes, right. It might smell like your dog. Don't worry about it. Just stay indoors. So, James, how much does it cost to buy a share in this company?
$15 million.
15 million. I got that in my back pocket. No sweat. 50 million.
Well, that was the most recent investment.
So how much are they trying to raise?
A few million.
Oh my goodness gracious! You should be able to get a lot of woolly mammoths for 15 million. Especially if we're going to make them into coats.
Yeah,
I can see it. I can totally see it now. I think I'm right.
To use a Stone Age spear.
Okay.
Oh no! Yeah. And it's going to be called. It's going to be called a vintage cut.
There you go.
It's going to be. John. See, hey Jen, here's the latest styling of woolly mammoth clothing. Don't you see? It is a nice dress. It is vintage cut.
That's right, vintage. I like that.
This is how you know it's a.
Jeez. Okay, well now I'm probably not going to invest in that company. So we've got a ski resort near our area up here in Tahoe, Port Tahoe. And we feel for all those folks up there that had problems.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's another story for another day. One of the ski resorts that we've been knowing by the name of Squaw Valley Alpine Meadows Ski Resort, which is a very large one up there and been around for a very long time.
Was it the former Olympic?
That was Incline Village. Incline, okay. Yeah. So Squaw Valley, because the term squaw is considered inappropriate, according to indigenous people in the area, they are changing their name. Their new name is going to be the Palisades Tahoe.
It sounds like a day spa. Welcome to the Palisades Tahoe.
Palisades Tahoe.
Why didn't they go with some sort of
I don't know.
Palisades?
That doesn't really roll off the tongue either. So if you were from Southern California, say the Palisades, you're right outside of Santa Monica, in the Santa Monica area, and you're kind of going, what? Why are you calling this that?
See, doesn't it sound like some sort of fancy, like spa and Tahoe? Welcome to the Palisades Spa.
I don't know.
Why not something like ski related, something, or the history of the
snow at Alpine Village or Alpine Meadows.
How about like the old Bonanza Ranch, the Bonanza Ski Resort? It's a TV show nobody remembers.
I think there was a lot of people remember Bonanza,
but there used to be a Bonanza Ranch there.
Yeah, there was. Yeah. Is it gone?
I think so. Oh, I could be wrong, but
that's supposedly where the show took off from. Is from that.
Oh, that spot,
Bonanza, that area.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
All right. But that's such a stupid name.
Well, the word squaw was introduced by Lewis and Clark back in 1805. And I assume they learned it from an Indian. A Native American somewhere. And
no, first American. Get it again. First.
I can't keep up with it. Is it first Americans?
That's the term I'm hearing lately.
Or is it indigenous? I thought everybody was indigenous.
First Nation, or is it?
Yeah, okay. I'll get it right.
How do you spell that, by the way?
Which?
Squaw.
Squaw. This is a spelling test all of a sudden. I had a flashback from elementary school. Spell this word. Wait, teacher, I can't remember. Okay, I'll get it out, I promise.
Rob, you forgot to use it in a sentence.
Okay, now I gotta... No, because it's inappropriate. I can't use it now, teacher. Sorry.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, if I can find anything where the genesis of the word is.
So it's the word accepted to be a racist and sexist slur. So you got two bones of contention with that term.
So according to Wikipedia, the bastion of all knowledge, it says the English word squaw is ethnic and sexual slur.
Yeah.
Historically used for indigenous North American women. Contemporary term used by non-native is considered offensive. The word is not used among Native American. So what, do they have a word? I know this is stupid, but I've never I always thought it was.
I will have to ask my indigenous friends if they have a term. I'll ask them.
I'm super curious because I actually don't know the answer because I always thought that was their word, to be honest. But that's their.
Well, you know, I gotta figure out where did Lewis and Clark get it from. Right? They didn't make it up themselves.
And forgive me for saying there, like all of a sudden all Native Americans are the same group and same tribe. They're hundreds there were thousands of different little tribes scattered through North America.
That's right. And most of them had casinos.
Oh shit.
I'm sorry, that was a joke. I was being funny.
But don't forget, those are only the tribes that signed treaties. The other tribes that didn't get treaties, they don't exist.
Or they all have all the oil. That was taken about.
Ladies and gentlemen, the old guy officially apologizes to you, the audience. His comments do not reflect the heart and soul of the MadTrio podcast, Old Guy Tech TV, Real Flicks Reviews, and whatever show we haven't done it.
Yeah, no, I apologize. See, there's a problem. I could never be a comic anymore simply because you can't talk about anything.
No, you could be a comic. Your shtick would be the most hated comic in America. Like the seven forbidden. You could come up with a bit like the 7 forbidden words. You could just steal George Carlin's bit, but instead with cussing, you could just use highly offensive material.
Yeah, apparently, huh?
Like Sky Waitress.
What's a Sky Waitress?
Stewardess.
Oh, and you talk about me. I didn't even know what that meant.
Well, it's because nobody has thought about that since the 60s.
Lord.
Let's be honest. The first time I heard that, I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, man. I just got hit with an idea that I don't want to talk about. Never mind.
Leishman, his idea does not reflect Old Guy Tech TV. But
Wait a minute. The studio's named after me. I'm offended by the old guy stuff.
You named it. You cannot be offended on your behalf.
It's all my fault. I'm going to sue myself.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
I know. I know a good lawyer.
Yeah. Okay. Nobody likes a lawyer until they're your lawyer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They have to be a good lawyer too.
Well, hopefully. I don't know bad lawyers. I know a number of very good lawyers. I know some lawyers that are now judges. Oh my God, I can't say that.
You're old.
I am. We're back to the low energy show.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of winding down here on the low energy version of the MadTrio podcast.
I didn't even think of your name, the name of the show.
Yeah, I'm running out of energy.
Yeah, normally we have a lot more material today. This week has been a little strange.
There has been a result. We talked about this a long time ago about Epic versus Apple, Epic Game versus Apple.
Oh yeah, Apple lost a lawsuit, didn't they?
It was. I would say it was 50-50.
They lost something because their stocks tanked for a bit.
It was they could bypass. I guess some people were allowed to bypass the 30% take Apple takes. Like part of the disagreement was every transaction for Epic people spend on Epic Games, they required to give Apple 30% of whatever transaction, and I guess they bypassed that. One of the things they were bitching about was, if I remember correctly, how Apple's app store is a walled garden. There's no real way to sideload apps. At least the U.S. judge, if I remember correctly, basically said it is, but it isn't a monopoly. In Apple's case, I actually think not being able to sideload is a blessing, but there's issues I have with that too. Like I don't like the fact there's no Wi-Fi sniffers.
So correct me if I'm incorrect on this, and have to get an Apple expert probably, but But doesn't Apple owns all the rights to everything in their iPhones? Their iPhones, their operating system,
The hardware.
the software.
It's all
I mean,
there.
they own everything. So, and in essence, they're if they're letting third-party developers in for 30%, it's probably not a bad deal.
Yeah, I mean, but a part of this, I think, was Epic Games, made a shit ton of money from Fortnite. I think they saw the fact that they weren't getting that massive cut. But it's not exactly the AOL conversation either. I mean, when AOL was just getting you to the destination, Apple creates the destination, makes you buy the destination, you go to the so I don't know. I don't. I'm kind of confused by it. I don't get it. I mean, I understand not wanting to give Apple 30% take. But on the other hand, if they're letting
Pay to play.
yeah, if they're letting within your universe,
Yeah. That's my thoughts, the way I would look at it.
now apparently there are other countries that have sued Apple for it about the walled garden, about not being able to sideload, stuff like that.
Yeah, the EU's got their own thing going with Apple that they're not happy with as well. So every area looks at it a little bit different.
I don't know. I'm okay, but not okay with not being able to sideload. Not that I would do it. The interesting thing is the Oculus Quest allows you to quasi-sideload. So I don't understand why Apple doesn't figure out a way to sandbox sideload stuff. So it's not infecting. Like the problem with Android is you can sideload stuff if you don't know what you're doing, and you would screw up your phone. I'm assuming there's a way to sandbox the sideload so it can't access mission critical systems.
I understand Apple's the reason why Apple's looking at it like they're looking at it is because they're responsible for basically making sure the phone works. And every time you break it, so to speak, you load an app that isn't Apple approved or isn't okay, right? And you break it in some way. Who do you call? You call tech support for Apple. Now, what's Apple going to say? I'm sorry, you loaded this game. Call them. Well, all of a sudden you're back into that whole problem, that whole cycle of who's responsible for what. So I do understand why Apple takes the position they take. I mean, the reality is they've got millions and millions and millions and millions of phones out there, and not everything works as advertised, even those approved on Apple's app, store. And sometimes there's issues. And so to reduce those amount of issues, Apple takes the stance they do, and I totally understand it.
And I also think it eliminates a bunch of headaches. I mean, Apple does get spyware. I don't know if they get viruses as easy as Android, because let's be honest, that Android is the Windows of phone operating systems. That's the best.
Well, it's open source, so you really don't know what you're getting.
Well, open source has its good and bad thing.
I don't get me wrong. I'm not arguing that, but
is the entire source code of Android completely open?
So it's a little like the Red Hat argument. My understanding is,
so it's forked.
Yeah. So, you develop whatever you develop, and that portion's actually yours, and I guess you can copyright it, I guess. But parts of it, the basic part of the Android operating system, the basic part of the Android operating system is open source. That's my understanding.
So it's the Amazon Fire operating system, which is technically Android, but since they forked it,
right.
It's okay, so it's an open close type of deal.
That's my understanding. There may be more tech savvy people.
James, you're the Android user. What do you think?
And there we have it from an Android user. Nothing.
Yeah, I just don't care. I don't want to pay for an Apple because Apple rips you off on just all the little micromanaging shit. And then on top of that, I've used an Android ever since I've been buying phones, so I'm not going to switch and try to figure out other shit.
Well, there you go. That makes perfect sense to me.
And I don't really use all the open sourcing shit with my Android because I don't really care that much. I just want my phone to work, to be able to text, play games, cruise the internet. That's it. I don't need excessive shit to use my phone. So open source, closed source, as long as it works, it works. So that's where I'm at.
I can see it now. Before you know it, James is going to have a flip phone again, which, by the way, I've known multiple people who have traveled back to the land of yesteryear and now use flip phones. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to tell you is flip phones are going to come back. Just watch me. And I'm hoping rotary phones come back. I'm probably dreaming on that. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the old guy, a fat man, and the California Pariah. As always, thank you for listening.
You're listening to The Rob Charney Show. You're listening to The Rob Charney Show.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the MadTrio podcast.